We grow when we give.
We grow when we give.
We grow when we give.
Nosotros crecemos cuando damos.
We grow when we give.
与えるとき成長する。
We grow when we give.
Welcome to R.O.G, Return on Generosity, a podcast celebrating generosity at work. Not financial giving, giving valuable time, alternative perspectives, and genuine collaboration. Thank you for joining me for this bi-weekly Building Bridges Generous Leader Coaching Tip. This week's focus is Crucial Conversations based off of this book. The subtitle is Tools for Talking When Stakes Are High. The subtitle could also be Tools for Generous Leaders. The book helps us to understand why we show up at our worst when the stakes are the highest and when it matters most. Crucial conversations in the workplace could be things like talking to a coworker about an offensive comment, giving your boss feedback, critiquing a team member's work, or giving an unfavorable performance review. Why do we show up so badly when the stakes are so high? Well, because it's uncomfortable, because we want to get it over with, or more accurately, we want to avoid it. And so by the time we have these conversations, we feel fear, which causes us to flight or fight. Crucial conversations refers to that as silence or violence. And if you're thinking, well, I don't treat people with silence or violence, think again. When we are offended or slighted or unappreciated, feeling righteous, superior, or inferior, maybe disconnected, or feeling like not responsible to fix this one, we move to silence, which is avoiding or withdrawing, or violence, which is pressing the issue and being controlling. Silence sounds like, is something bothering you? Nope. Violence sounds like, is something bothering you? Yeah, you. The moment that predicts how well we will conduct these crucial conversations is what happens right before we open our mouth. The biggest insight from this book that can give us the most amount of power is that how you feel is not a direct function of what you just saw or heard. The incident itself does not create the emotion. The intervening variable is your story. You, me, and everyone tell ourselves stories about things that happen. Challenge and change those stories, and you can affect your emotions. The way that Crucial Conversations explains the flow is this. We see or hear something. We tell a story about it. We feel a certain kind of way about the story we just told, and then we act based on that feeling. Let's just say I'm going to tell you about a coaching client of mine. She was very concerned about a crucial conversation she had to have with her boss. She said, I need to give him feedback before he presents that, and I'm nervous because he gets really defensive. What story are you tempted to tell yourself about this? What else have you added to the story? What experience did you have in your brain? Did you imagine the conversation? Did you see these two people? Where were they? And how about the presentation? Did you infer anything about what was problematic about the presentation? Did you imagine that? And how about how she described defensiveness? What did you infer about that? We make inferences. We tell stories. The three stories that cause us to go to flight or fight or silence or violence the most are the victim stories, where it's not my fault and this is being done to me. Number two, the villain story. It's totally your fault and you should be held accountable. And the helpless story. There's nothing I can do. I ask myself, what stories am I telling myself about situations in my life that's causing me to feel a certain kind of way? And what's a different story? How could I still hold this person accountable, but do it in a better way, a more collaborative way, a more generous way? By noticing the stories that we're telling ourselves, we gain the capacity to conduct generous conversations. The story that you are telling yourself is affecting how you feel and what you do about it. So the key coaching tip here is when something happens, which it inevitably will, something today will happen. The tip is to pause, reframe, and then, if you think it's necessary, act. Pause, reframe, act. Truly generous leaders make sure that there is a pause between stimulus and response. It's a choice. They are not magnetic forces. This doesn't make you do or feel or behave in a certain kind of way. The thing happened, that's the stimulus, and the reaction is a choice. So please choose wisely. It will make all the difference. Please join us next week with Jen T. Grace. Until then, stay generous, everyone.
Thanks for listening to R.O.G. Return on Generosity Podcast. Please help us grow by subscribing and reviewing us on your favorite podcast player. And for more information, visit bridgebetween.com. We grow when we give.
우리는 나누면서 성숙합니다.
We grow when we give.
On rayonne quand on donne.
We grow when